on each of the streaming or social media pages. Facebook, maybe. Checking the.
Looks like it might be.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure how that happened.
What's that?
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. My name is Marinette Smith. I am not Carl Wagner. I'm filling in for him and Zach tonight. So you'll have myself and some other coaches on here, but we're going to get started. And I am just going to read off just a little bit of a disclaimer. The information that's discussed on this show tonight is for information and educational purposes only. It's not to be taken for any medical advice. If you choose to implement anything or are considering implementing anything that we discuss on the show tonight, please speak with your healthcare provider before doing so. Before really implementing anything that's new into your regimen, we advise that you would do that. And then, yeah, so we're gonna have a great meeting tonight. Deb, let's see here.
Good evening, everybody.
Do you want to introduce yourself for just a minute and while I get everything else started?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Deborah Hernke, and I am a BeatCancer.Org coach. This is where I got my training from, and yeah. So just want to welcome everybody here tonight. And I know that once we get everything set up and the lines open, we're going to be taking some calls. And if there's anybody that has any questions or a topic that you would like to discuss, please by any means go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and start addressing them. I don't know if any one of the coaches that I see on here now, hi Maya, if you guys have anything that you want to talk about or bring up, or something that this last week has kind of, you know, kind of been brought to, the forefront, and we're like, hey, this might be a really good topic or something to start out our conversation tonight with. That way, anybody.
We got Maya.
Hey,
Couple
everyone.
icons. Joyce.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to see who else is.
Jonas.
You can see everybody more than I do, I'm sure.
Yes. And I'll just keep an eye and make sure if you do have a question, you can put it into any of the comment sections, like on Facebook or even in the chat section here on Zoom, and we'll get to your answer. We'll get to your question as they come up. But anybody have any good topics for tonight? Is there anything new that's been going on? Any new information in the cancer world that you want to bring up or discuss?
Nope.
I would.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Martha, I'm at Nutritional Oncology Research Institute. Ivermectin and fenbendazole. There seems to be a madness going on out there
Yeah.
over these things. I'm just curious what your take is on it.
Any takers that want to answer that?
I'll take that. I'll
Okay.
take that. There's a madness about it. Maybe it does have a space for it, but again, it depends on so many different factors. And we believe that people, if they're looking for something like that, they need to work with someone who truly understand what they're doing, because they are still drugs. They could still affect liver. They could still affect, functions.
Mhm.
And does it have a place in oncology world? Probably it does, that we didn't know, but there's a lot of anecdotal successes out there when it comes to that. But again, working with someone who truly knows and monitor people, because people don't know the dosages where they can start at and how to use it, with what drugs to use it, combination of drugs. Is it going to be interacting with any drugs? So it's very good to connect to a health care provider who kind of would guide it through. That's what I would
Agreed.
say. Yeah. But I agree that it does have a place probably in oncology world. But again, it's still a drug.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
interesting. This
and
last week,
it's
Yeah.
taken at dosages far above what one would take for a parasitic infection, which is only, one tablet, 4 milligram tablet. People are taking an extraordinarily high amount,
Hmm.
and potentially could cause neurologic damage.
Yeah.
And I've really combed through all the literature on it, and the evidence is so weak, and there aren't any clear mechanisms that have been discovered. It may have some anti-cancer activity, but it may also suppress the immune system. There's probably more negative than there is positive for it, and I've been advising people stay away, but there's just been this mad inrush of interest. People are taking it based
Pe-
on really, really weak evidence.
Uh, People are so like it's kind of fairly understanding why there's a madness because people are so desperate to save their lives.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They would try whatever. When they've been told like, you have no chance, I
Yeah,
could see where the people are coming from. If they're thinking they're gonna lose their life, doesn't matter if they try or not. So they try and they do increase the doses. I do see that to that extent. Some of them do see the results from it, some of them don't. So it all depends,
yeah,
but again, like you said, it's a drug. It can affect other organs and other part of the body. We don't know. Same thing is there's like limited studies on the chemotherapy and radiation,
yeah,
I mean, there's a studies, but there's limited studies on the way it does kind of affect the body. It destroys immune system completely,
right.
you know.
Well,
So it's
I-
like I could see where the people are coming from.
yeah,
It's easy to say for people who are like, but when people are standing one leg, basically in their grave, and they will try everything.
it's one of the biggest questions that I had this week.
Yeah.
I had just about every person um, had asked that question about ivermectin fenbendazole, its effectiveness. Where can I find the literature? That type of thing. And that's really something where, again, like Maya had said, is you're not going to find a whole lot of literature out there, at least not stuff that's available to the public. I don't think at all. And I don't think that, and my suggestion is definitely is like what Maya said, talk to your healthcare provider, talk to
Right.
if you're looking at those alternative avenues, alternative drugs, pharmaceuticals and stuff, methods and stuff, then you would need to talk to the correct physician to do that as well. And that's where you're going to get a lot of information too. And it might not be where you end up going. It might be going to take you to a completely different direction. Really, it depends on where you're at in your cancer journey, because there are a lot of alternatives out there that are very complementary that can really help. Especially when you combine the alternative and conventional medicines that are out there, that can be very effective as well. They can help one another. And I think that's kind of in a way as well something that is important to look at and not be afraid of to ask your physician.
Uh, one more thing that I would want to add to that, the ivermectin or fenbendazole, it's not a complete like an answer to the solution. There are people think if they take ivermectin and fenbendazole, they're going to kill cancer cells, but continue lifestyle that brought them to the cancer in the first place is not going to do good to them. So there's a lot of things or higher doses like you mentioned. There are people who weigh 100 pounds, there are people who weigh 300 pounds. When we talk about higher doses, what kind of higher doses? Like if someone taking like a high dose who is 100 pounds and someone taking the same dose who is 300 pounds. That's what's like, if people are interested in any drug, it's the best way to get them, talk to your doctor about it and get the all insights. And then from there, or do your legit homework before you jump on any. And more doesn't mean always good. you
Yeah,
know.
another problem is there's a lot of counterfeit product circulating out there.
Yeah,
That's a major, major issue. People are buying
Yeah.
it
Yep.
online, and
A
a
lot
lot
of
of it,
jumping onto the bandwagon.
yeah, it's coming
right.
from
Yeah,
India. I haven't seen it provide any benefit to anybody.
yeah.
And
Well,
so,
yeah. Um, yeah. Jane, did you want to say something? Yeah.
First of all, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so excited tonight. Um, but just for everybody to know as some encouragement, when my husband had leukemia, he was prescribed ivermectin by his integrative medicine physician, and they discussed it with his regular oncologist, and they came up with a decision together. So it is possible to get it in the right way, but just like you said, it has to go through the physician, and that's the way to do it. But it is possible to, because in my experience, and Michael's leukemia never went acute, and I think ivermectin really did help him. Well, he died of complications from surgery. So, it's out there to with the right doctors and picking the regular allopathic doctors who will work with the integrative medicine doctors. And then the integrative medicine doctors then found where to get it and prescribed it.
Right.
So
It's a team effort.
It's a
Yes.
team
It is
effort.
a team effort, and
right.
you are part of that team as the patient, and they are too. And I'm going to say this because I'm experiencing a little bit right now where I'm not feeling like the other half of it is being very team oriented,
Right.
and that's frustrating. That is
Part of
very frustrating.
Yeah. Part of what we did is that we chose allopathic doctors in their specialties in cardiology and, urology, all of Michael's specialists and pulmonologists who were willing to work with the integrative medicine doctor. So when we had something we used Dr. Bazan and Dr. Handley, who was integrative medicine oncologist, we would ask the other doctors, is this okay? And sometimes they said, well, no, because of Michael had acute kidney damage from some of the chemos. But sometimes they said, you know what, won't hurt. Go ahead, as long as the hematologist said it was right. So again, it's not just picking the integrative medicine doctor and the oncologist, but the whole team that is willing to work with everyone.
Yes.
So we were able to do that with Cooper docs, Jefferson docs, and Jefferson Integrative Medicine Division.
Yeah. Plus,
It
as
is
I
such a
said,
learning environment.
yeah,
It's a learning. Everybody's learning all these new things that pop up, and even things
Yes.
that are, and it do again, do your due diligence, do your research, bring it up, provide that information, because your physicians are learning as well.
Yes.
You have your
Along
standards.
that, I
what
would
goes.
bring all my research to the physicians and
Yeah.
say, what do you think? Has to be
Yeah.
a team effort. I was blessed that they respected my knowledge and I was accepted as part of the team.
right. Yeah.
And I think that took a lot of, just like you said, you have to get involved yourself. You have to be able to talk the lingo. And if you can, then you can't go in demanding, this is what I want you to take. Go in, this is my research. What do you think of it? And, go from there.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure about what to ask your doctor, we have a great article that is available. I think it's the 200 most asked questions, the questions that you want to, things that you can have as your back pocket as a tool to take to peruse before you even go to your appointment, to ask some of those questions. And as a matter of fact, take it with you, have it there, have a pad and paper, write things down and ask those questions, and that really helps. But yeah, there is a document available
Yeah,
that really
that's
helps.
great.
There's lots of questions.
And
What
I
to ask
think
your physician.
the best way to go, I would come when I had my own chart. So I came with my chart,
Yeah.
you know.
Many people think like, oh, I'm gonna go take ivermectin or fenbendazole and that's it, and poof, cancer is gonna disappear. It doesn't work that way. There's like people cannot just rely on certain things, particularly on the drugs. You have to know there's a lot of triggers, a lot of pinpoint that brought the body to that stage where the body start developing cancer. And a lot has to do with the lifestyle, dietary intake, environmental toxins, and so many factors that put the body in that hole. So by adding additional toxication to the body doesn't mean like you can get rid of cancer. So that's another way of looking at instead of relying on something else from outside, you have to always think, what can you change first within you, within your environment, within your diet, within your sleep, within everything that comes from your handling it, and then maybe talking to your healthcare provider and getting anything additional to that. Uh, if that if people believe that's gonna work for them, I don't know.
Well, you brought up
Definitely,
a really
definitely.
excellent point, Maya, is like we should be addressing like our terrain, correct? Like we should really be
Right.
looking at what our lifestyle habits are. So what's our eating habits? Are we drinking enough water? Are we drinking the right things? Are we still including like sugars and ultra processed foods and man-made foods into our diets? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough exercise? Are we laughing even enough or having enough joy in our lives? Like these are all
Right.
aspects that we should really be approaching. And then, if there are the added, other treatments and methods needed, then looking at those perspectives. But, one of the big things that we talk about too is providing people with information, and education. So then that way it's best, they can make the best decision for themselves. So,
Right.
like we were just talking about, I mean, it really is. It's a team effort. It's an all-around effort,
Right.
when you're addressing cancer. So it's not really just one thing. There's many things. There's many things that actually go into play. And
There,
so,
there
Yeah.
definitely is. And I think on that, when Maya, you had mentioned something about taking control. Take control of those things in your life that you know that you can, and those things are your diet, lifestyle, and exercise, right? And I know a lot of people hear that, a lot. It's like, well, what does
Yeah.
that mean? But truly, it's about changing, and the environmental toxins. It's like, well, maybe change the water. Do I need a reverse osmosis system to put in my house so my drinking water is better? And in doing some of those things, you're actually taking control. You're making those changes, however slight you might think it is. It's like, oh, it's just that, it's not going to make a difference. Of course it makes a difference, because what it's
Makes a
doing,
difference.
it's empowering you to make those changes, and it's empowering you to take control of those things in your life that you may feel they're out of control. And when you do get that cancer diagnosis, yeah, things start spinning out of control and it's overwhelming. So
Yeah.
why not take and harness those things that you can? And so it's kind of clearing those muddy waters. Let's start from the beginning. Let's say, okay, maybe my food, maybe I shouldn't be going to Dairy Queen or McDonald's and doing those quick drive-through things. Maybe I need to learn how to meal prep on a Sunday evening so I have things ready for the week, and then what are those things that I can fix? And then what containers should I use? Because the plastics are crazy and it can be overwhelming, but it's possible, it's doable. And in doing those little things, they become monumental. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, you see some changes, not only in yourself, but maybe mental attitude. And I do think it's good to go. To run barefoot in the
Yeah.
grass around the beach. I almost said something else, but
Exactly.
make sure
Yeah.
that you do that too, because grounding is huge, and just being
Yeah.
outside.
Everything has its own value in the healing process. Every little thing has its own value. It's adding on to the healing process. Maybe you won't feel that, maybe you won't recognize it, but it does have value to that. So, and that's what matters. I hope, like, my husband would always say, don't go where the crowd goes. You know, now crowd is running after fenbendazole, ivermectin. I'm not saying they don't have a value, you know, there's a, you know, I do share information with my clients on that part if they're interested in it. But
I hope, I hope,
again,
I hope a year from now it'll all fade away and be gone. I really do.
maybe I,
And
It's
maybe,
such a
something else will probably
distraction.
pop up, but we'll be
yeah.
able to tackle
But
that too, right?
at the same time, I wouldn't say that I did not see clients who got better on it. I wouldn't say that. I
Well, but they
do.
were probably doing many other things at the same time,
Right.
so you can't
Yes.
really tell
That
for sure.
right.
Yeah.
And this all
Right.
started from one anecdotal story, Joe Tippins, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Started the
Yes.
whole fenbendazole craze. And it turns out that's not, it wasn't the fenben that healed him. He was on immunotherapy for
Yeah.
non-small
Well,
cell lung cancer. So, you know,
yeah.
false
That,
You really
evidence.
bring up a very, very valuable point, and that is making sure you have the whole story.
The
And
right.
whole
so
story.
so when you take something or somebody says, "Hey, I've been doing this, why don't you try it?" But I'm not really seeing a doctor and I'm not really
Right.
doing this. Boy, Hattie, you are really putting yourself in a really precarious situation, because even as we look at clients suggesting anything when I've just seen them for an hour, I don't know your background. I don't know anything about you and what that would be. All I can do is
Mhm.
here's some places to look into. Really, really ask your doctor and go from
Mhm.
there,
And
So
spend your
yeah,
time on PubMed and research these things. You don't have to read through the
Yes.
whole papers, but you can easily find out what you need to know from reading the abstracts of studies.
exactly.
That's
They're
exactly
so
what we're
simple.
talking about.
So
That's yeah.
I just want to add too for research too, just being very cognizant of where the research is coming from, who the funding is provided by, who's actually the organizations behind that research.
Hmm.
I can
That
say as
is
a nurse, I had to take a whole separate course just to understand the research and studies behind things, and how to actually understand them and read them. So you really should have a good understanding, solid knowledge on how to read research, and then how
Mhm.
to implement it, and then how to see if it is truly
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that is a good thing, like a positive or negative. But
Another important aspect is where your mindset at. If you trust and believe that ivermectin is going to do the job for you, it's going to do the job for you. You know, if you trust like poison is going to heal you, it's going to heal you. You know, if you trust in that, if you kind of like, I don't know, like, you know, this is what I think. Like if you trust like chemo is not gonna, it's gonna poison you, chemo is gonna poison you. If you trust the food you eat is gonna poison, it's gonna poison you. You know, it's all about that as I said, it's not only one thing or two things. It's like so many aspects like people have to think about. Like you know, had its own purpose there. And we have to see that. We have to see people have to see that their connection to the nature, their connection to the universe. We're part of this nature, we're part of this universe. You know, were the drugs always available to humans? No, they've been around only like what, 160, 170 years. So what do we know about drugs? What are they doing in our body genetically? How are they affecting our body? What can we take it from nature? You know, because I believe nature provided was everything we need. We just need to know how to use it. You know, uh, I believe so. Ivermectin, or I'm not sure about fenbendazole, but ivermectin, I think it's a similar to artemisinin, sweet wormwood, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so it's just the pharmaceutical
Okay.
level of the artemisinin, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No,
No? Okay,
no,
then I'm mistaken.
totally different
Okay,
drug.
then I'm mistaken. Okay. So yeah, I mean like,
And
Mark
but
has a question.
one
yes.
other important point I just wanted to bring up to see what you see all the time. So I'm a big researcher, 20 years into this. So there's in vivo studies and in vitro studies, and people who are doing their own research. So there's so many things out there that have anti-cancer activity, natural compounds, but there's only been observed or proven in vitro studies, in cell culture. You
Mhm.
cannot make that jump or that leap to human use. Because most of these substances have zero bioavailability. They'll never get into the bloodstream, no matter how much you take orally. That's a big pitfall. So there's all this interest in curcumin. Well, it's not bioavailable at all.
No,
Even if you
no.
add black pepper to it and, make a liposomal formulation, it's not bioavailable. And that's true probably for 99% of natural compounds. So I see that people falling into that trap over and over again. They take all kinds of herbal supplements, but they're not getting into the bloodstream. Waste of time, waste of money, waste of focus and effort. I just wanted to bring up that point.
No, I have read about curcumin, actually, what you said about not being bioavailable in so many different forms. I've read about it. On the top of it, curcumin is very high in oxalates. It actually does a little bit more damage to the organ. Yeah, I have read about it too. As I said, like whatever
Harmon
we
has a
do,
question.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to get to Harmon. He has that question, and this is it's getting very technical. So if we can just kind of move, we can maybe do some research. We can answer maybe next week. We can look into it and then answer back on that too about the turmeric. And so we'll get to you, Harmon.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to say it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around this. Discussion is fascinating to me because I also have been researching cancer for a very long time, and I always try to think about conceptually what causes people to latch on to things like you're mentioning and just run wild with them. And I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if that's coming from, is that coming from me? Sorry, let me turn that down. But I have this really, it sounds a little ridiculous, but I have this way of looking at cancer prevention and recovery that goes something like this. If you do it right, and I don't mean right, perfect. I'm just saying if you do it in a way that it is a deep recovery and it is a sustainable recovery, you should never be able to know what caused that recovery because you were too busy doing everything comprehensive. And Deborah, when Deborah said that, I think it was Deborah who said about terrain, whoever mentioned terrain, I'm a big fan of cancer terrain. Our bodies have the ability to be anti-cancer in terrain or pro-cancer in terrain based on dozens and dozens and dozens of particular things that we do or don't do in our lives. So for someone to have a good response and have an excellent cancer recovery, I think the most valid thing that they could say if somebody said, well, what did you do? What did you take? And you could just, all you would hear is dozens and dozens of answers. You would never know which one, because asking the question of which one is invalid when you're doing so many things. It should be comprehensive. So that's just my 2 cents on that. It's so easy to get excited about singular things.
Right.
And
I totally agree with you there, because I always get asked, what was my protocol? When people sign up with me, they would always say, what was your protocol? I want to know your protocol. I said, I don't know. I truly don't know. I have tried so many different things. I totally don't know what is out there that I can pinpoint. I can pinpoint that I changed my diet. I can pinpoint that I focused on meditation. I can pinpoint, I stopped using all form of chemicals. I can pinpoint those. But what exactly I did that kind of, my body got rid of cancer, I don't know. Maybe everything together. I have no idea. I took supplements. I tried many different diets. I tried many different things, but focusing on my mindset, on meditation, I think, and just eliminating all form of toxins from my household, from everything, even wearing the clothes that I would not wear anything if it's not cotton, linen, or wool, for example, up to that point. Maybe that helped. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like such a big,
it really is. It's a
And
big
everybody's
fear.
different.
We all are
Everybody's
different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
So,
everybody's different.
Well,
So you're coming into a situation also that is going to be, diet, lifestyle, nutrition is going to be completely different from the next person that's going to be coming in. So what's going to work for one person may not work for the other person,
Yeah.
So again, yeah,
yeah,
But
you have to really
try
consider all
everything.
of those things. I can
I
probably
would say,
say out of
yeah.
all of us, like I really did not have a plan of, I don't know what I
Yeah.
I was
Exactly,
still
right?
I was still like in the mindset of convenience. I was working in crazy hours, a very high stress job. But I was making healthier choices. And I really truly believe that part of what we do is because we make those choices that change our lifestyle from what we previously were at pre-cancer. And so when you're making those changes, you're changing your life, you're changing your possible outcome. And it is really, it's a whole mind, body, spirit aspect. I mean, like the
Right.
whole person. I mean, that's why we call it holistic,
Yeah.
healing. It's because it's the whole person. And there are many research studies saying that too, though, like a lot of it is our mindset. Your mind is so powerful, and there are so many thoughts that we can go through in a day. And so when you're able to shift those mindsets from maybe a more pessimistic, negative, maybe resentful, bitter, some of those really negative frequencies, then you're able to shift it to a positive light. Then a lot of those things will start changing in your life too, because you're going to start adapting those positive influences into your life that are going to affect it long term. So,
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
Jane was,
Jane.
Jane's
and
got a
then,
question, and then
Along what you're saying, if we're, did I unmute myself? Did I do that right?
yep, you're
If,
good.
if our bodies are mind, body, spirit, it's exactly what I was going to say, then as we approach healing, then we have to do the same thing. Any one thing is not going to work because our body, mind, spirit is not any one thing. And the other thing I wanted to add, as we go to the doctor and we're saying, okay, we want you to do this, this, and this, you've got more power for the doctor to work with you if you're saying, well, I'm doing this, 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 and this. So they know that you're doing your part. And then they're not going to be dismissive because we say, oh, this person is willing to change in many ways. So therefore, I'm more willing to work with this person.
if you have the right team, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna throw that out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
team,
So I fired
they will
people
take
who
with
weren't.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and Jane is
And
our
sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
Jane is she is our more of our expert in that mind, body, spirit healing. It's Louise Hayes that you like to refer to in that aspect. Is
Louise
that right?
Hayes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I do integrative energy therapy.
Oh, yes, that
Right.
too as
Yeah.
well. Hmm.
Yeah.
Powerful,
Uh,
powerful stuff.
Yes.
Well, we do
Yeah.
have one question. I see Harmon too, but we have a question on Facebook. We're going to see if we can answer first. The question is how to remove from the body all the chemicals of chemo. Anybody want to answer that one?
Well, here's the thing. Our body is such a fascinating mechanism. It does detoxify itself. All we have to do is support that. And how to support that again, it's our body does like 1,000 different things in a second to detoxify because it's constantly in act. It's like in this motion of working and working and working. And the first thing would be probably not adding additional toxins to the body if you can, eliminating everything which you can from like the food for sure, cleaning supplies, that matters. Air you breathe matters. The water you drink matters. So if you're gonna, there's no such a special detox program or protocol. I know a lot of people talk about tons of juicing, tons of that, tons of this. The bottom line is you have to understand a process of your body. How does it detoxify itself? It does it. It can detox without adding those tons of juicing. Fasting is a great thing. Detox. So fasting, again, people have to know how you detox your body. I mean, how to fast also. Because if you fast if body's overload with toxin, even water detox is gonna toxicate the body too. There's so many pathways of detoxification. It's so hard to pinpoint one thing. But one thing would be is just to eliminate all the toxic compounds that are coming into the body. So that would be the first step to do, and take the thing slowly, because toxic byproducts rotate in the body and can toxicate the body back. So helping your body. I'm just thinking, what's the best way of detoxifying?
I'm thinking
Supporting
Go
your
ahead,
liver and
yeah,
your
Supporting your
supporting
kidneys.
your
liver,
liver, yeah,
liver and
Yeah.
sleep.
Supporting your liver and your
right,
kidneys,
yeah,
and fruit, and
it
you can do
is.
that through diet,
right.
Yeah,
and
with diet, with
nutrition.
the nutrition, that's
And then
Lots of
basically,
fruit. Lots of
mhm.
fruit is very
yeah,
detoxifying.
yeah.
Tropical fruits, a lot of enzymes, pineapple,
Hmm.
papaya are very, very good for detoxification.
Pineapple does, yeah, pineapple
Yeah,
has some stuff. Again,
fiber.
it's like everyone is so different. It's so by individual, It's like when we talk about fruits, like for example, I couldn't do fruits because I'm diabetic. I couldn't do fruits. Everyone is very different. Um, you have to know your body to be able to play with it and understand like entire process. So like, we have a built-in system. We have a built-in mechanism. If we wouldn't be able to detox, we would have not survived in this world. Our
You want
body
it,
meant to, right?
right?
Our body meant to detox. Our
So
body
flushing, yeah. And so you're flushing your
flushing, right?
kidneys, so you're drink more water than you normally would, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're
Oh,
drinking more coconut water, which is a great hydration source also, but
right.
just
Electrolytes is
flushing your
another,
system
yeah,
in that respect
yeah,
is another way to do that. The chemo is going to stay with in your system. You're right, there is no, end
years.
all be all to get rid of it. It was administered for a reason, obviously, and it does go deep. So, but in order to help some of the side effects and those types of things, then that's what you want to do. Because there are
Yeah,
some things that you can do to actually increase the efficacy of the chemotherapy, and the
right.
radiation.
Yeah.
So,
I
and I
mean,
would
You're
like
they're
mimicking
just it is
diet.
Herbs,
it is just
yeah.
working together in conjunction. But
I'll just
Herbal teas like herbal teas like a milk thistle, dandelion tea, like dandelion root. Those are supportive to the liver. Anything bitter are supportive to the liver to help your liver to detox. Liver has to make an enzymes to convert them from toxic to non-toxic and water soluble, and then remove it from the body. So we have, oh, it's like I'm trying to put like in the easiest way, like how can we
well,
detox?
it's okay.
and diet
Elimination.
whole food.
Elimination, yes,
Don't
I
do
would say
processed
elimination is the
foods.
best thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
elimination is the
Make
best
things
thing.
easier on your system. But that being said, when you're doing that and you're cleansing your body, to get rid of that, the chemo, why aren't we doing that all the time? Why aren't we eating those whole foods,
Yeah,
those good, healthy things, to make it easier for our kidneys to process,
yeah,
to make it easier on our liver to actually be healthy and cleaner. Those are those lifestyle changes that not just for because, well, got this, now I'm going
yeah.
through chemo, now I want to get rid of this. You want to do that all the time because of those environmental toxins that are out there that are polluting us every day. It's so
And it's not
important.
only liver though. It's not only
No, no,
liver
no.
plays
Yeah,
a
it's a whole
detox.
body
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
Yeah,
whole body. It's your
yeah.
lymphatic system, it's your gallbladder, it's your
Mhm.
liver, it's your kidney. Every organ plays a role
Yeah.
in the detox process.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's just one thing I want to add, and
Harmon
then we'll
had,
get to
yeah,
Harmon.
yeah,
Just making sure that you're getting
Alrighty.
enough sleep, because if you aren't getting enough sleep, and melatonin is so important, and your sleep
yeah,
cycles are important, and what levels of sleep you're getting into are important to be able to get a lot of those waste materials also out of your body, especially from your mind, and making sure that you're able to support your body as best as you can. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to start having a lot of other issues too. So addressing that piece as well is
mhm,
important.
right.
But we'll get to Harmon.
Thank you.
Hand
This
up.
is great. I always stretch my brain because I'm holding on to a thought from 10 minutes ago, and now I'm
Sorry.
fascinated. And now, no. But then the detox question comes up, and my brain goes to war. Like, am I going to hold on to what I really wanted to ask, or am I going to say something about detox? No, but anyway, Annette, a few minutes ago, you said something about mind-body connection and things like that. which immediately made me want to make the point for people who don't know about a groundbreaking book from 2014 called Radical Remission, Kelly Turner. The surprising thing about what she found she isolated 9 common denominators. She interviewed she reviewed 1,000 different cases that were called miracle cases, and she calls them radical remissions. But she actually interviewed a few hundred of those people and isolated 9 common things that these 100 did. Almost every single one of these few hundred people did these 9 things. Five of those 9 were not physical. They were spiritual/mental. And the real point that I was going to make is one of them that surprised the heck out of me was having a strong reason for living. Having a strong reason for living. So a lot of people, older people who had cancer, even gone through several stages of semi-successful conventional treatment, what they decided that they were going to live for their grandchildren. And that became a huge driving force in their belief and their determination to do all the other 8 things. But it was driven by that need to be there for the grandchildren. So it's amazing what can become the engine of motivation. It's all fascinating. I just wanted to throw that in there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing
Thanks, Harmon.
that. Thank you.
That was
Yeah.
excellent.
Harmon, the quote on your screen
Is yours,
that's
my friend.
mine, yeah. And that's
I know.
my logo,
I know.
but
Well, just so you know, my MO is that I spend time in all kinds of cancer researches, including my latest fascination with this group, which is truly a fascination. I'm looking for quotes from people who we should be listening to. And you said something a month ago, which made me in fact, if you remember, you threw up a note in the comments. I said, show me where your site is. And then I remembered the interview you did with Chris Wark from Chris Beat Cancer. And my brain started clicking. I went to your site and I grabbed that quote. And I wondered if you were going to come back again and see it, because yeah, there it is. That's right from your site. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's my little capsule with all the fruits in it.
I know. It's a great graphic. It's great.
Along those, sorry, go ahead, Lance.
There's a question in the chat that how do we determine what chemicals are bioavailable or not? This is all new to firefighter. Yeah. I would say most bioavailable chemicals is like what was produced by God, you know.
Can I answer that?
That's it. Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
As a scientist, let me answer it from a scientific perspective. The most bioavailable compounds are those that are water soluble. Simply dissolve in water, disperse, and find their way to the cells, cell membranes, and do what they do. The next would be fat soluble, but that's not necessarily the best. Most natural compounds are neither fat soluble or water soluble. They might be soluble in DMSO, which is an organic solvent, but for the most part, like all these polyphenol compounds, they are all of them. Like there's 10,000 of them. They're all water insoluble. They are fat insoluble. The only way they work in cell culture is these compounds are dissolved in DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, which is an organic solvent. But if it's taken into a mouse study, an in vivo study, it's still dissolved in DMSO, and then it's injected into the mouse intraperitoneally. So it's not given orally. So all the nutraceuticals that I work with and that I've developed, they're all water soluble. And they work really, really well. So that's probably the simplest answer I can give. And then that goes back to the studies. You may see things that look really, really promising in vitro, but that's only because they've taken that compound or done a special extraction, in some solvent and concentrated it and mixed it with DMSO and applied it to the cells and culture, and it works. So that's it.
Thanks for
Are
sharing
there
that.
some things, though that also they can be used as carriers that can actually, like what you had just mentioned, that can help get into those cells as well, that can increase its efficacy? I mean,
DMSO,
Yeah,
I think is great.
DMSO is probably the
Yeah.
best
am I
area,
even
I've
saying that
said
right?
DMSO,
You
yeah.
know what I
but
mean?
but
I mean,
but that's pretty tricky.
DMSO, is that the
Yes,
best one?
Yeah.
DMSO can carry
Okay.
stuff right through the skin, but it's tricky to use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee that it's going to work.
Okay. So don't suggest people to go out there and just get it and start
No,
Gosh,
pouring it all over
no.
yourself.
no,
Don't do
No,
that.
no,
It is
no.
a solvent.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Read up and
Can
just
you
definitely be careful.
can you cover just
DMSO.
whether safety tips or things you need to watch for on that, Mark
Well, it's
or
whole a
Maya?
lot thing behind the DMSO. I wouldn't like recommend people like jumping on DMSO and start using it. They have to get the books and start reading about it because there's more about DMSO than just like getting it and start using like an topically or whatever, people use. Because DMSO absorbs a lot of things and it can absorb through the skin into the system. So the skin has to be clean, there's many things that
Yeah.
the recommendation would be read about DMSO before you do anything.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
And if you, yes, just read up.
yep.
Yeah,
I was
Do
going
your
to
research, read up on it, and know you have to be safe with it.
Mhm.
exactly.
Oh,
Right.
we
That's
have
all
we have Amy who had her hand up, and then we also have a question that came in through the chat. So we'll get to Amy first, and then we'll do the question in the
Okay.
chat, and then Jane.
Mhm.
Oh, Amy, can you unmute yourself?
Am I unmuted?
Now you are. Yep.
Hey,
Great.
great.
Thank you.
God, this is a great conversation. I'm digging this. Hey, what is the best DMSO product that you found? Because I know there was one that was tooted, because you have to be careful buying it. I have the DMSO Bible book, but I was really trying to figure out the best product to buy.
I don't know.
There's two products. There's a 70% DMSO, in water. That's pretty popular, easy to get. And then you can get 99.99% DMSO. DMSO is a byproduct of the wood pulp process or manufacturing. Be careful with it. Don't, and it doesn't really have any anti-cancer activity. They say that it can soften up a tumor. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to add something with that. So you use gloves. I mean, really do your research.
Hold on. I wouldn't use gloves with DMSO. Okay, I would not use gloves. So as I said, you gotta do your homework before you use DMSO. DMSO is a plant-based compound. It's very the thing Mark, right? Mark, I think
Yeah.
knows also. I would not use gloves with DMSO because it would extract a lot of things from the gloves.
It depends on the gloves. You have to read up on it because it is a solvent. You have to be
there's
very
a solvent. The best DMSO to buy, answering the question, it's probably going to DMSO store and just getting from there, not anything from outside. There you go. That's a 99.9% DMSO.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the one I have. Yeah, and that's the one that I've been using. So yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, Mother Nature is the pharmacy, because I know that tamarind removes fluoride from water. That's what in India, they found that they would chew on tamarind a lot, and that made them curious, and it ended up it removes fluoride. And then they found out now to get plastic out of the body, okra and fenugreek are very good at removing plastic. So that just tells you the synchronicity of Mother Nature. She always has a solution for us. And I think it's just wonderful how Mother Nature cooperates if we eat her quality, organic, healthy food and herbs and spices. But yeah, so yeah, this is a great topic, you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for adding that, Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It looked like there was another question. I thought there was another one up here, but I don't see where that comment's at anymore.
Jane.
Do you see it?
Is it the studies that you, so
the
there's,
study that you saw? Yeah,
yep.
that's the
So
one.
it says the studies that you saw with the studies to get into the cells, are they with HER2 positive cancer cells?
Uh,
Does anybody want to answer that one?
to get into the cells.
I think that's when we were talking about the bioavailability.
Yeah.
I was talking about whatever the studies that you've done. What studies have you seen any that around HER2 positive cancer cells, and particularly ones that have like metastasized and gone into the brain? So like, because we know HER2 is very fast moving typically, and there's always a very strong push to be doing, the chemical stuff, and so I'm just wondering if you've seen any, if in along anybody's line. Actually, Mark was the one who specifically was talking about all the research, but specifically around HER2 positive, that is effective. That's not necessarily, one of the Herceptin and HER2 cut side,
Are you saying in HER2 is not working on the brain masses?
well, and her
In HER2, that's the drug conjugate.
yeah, it's already been used. There's some other new ones that are very toxic and really awful,
Yeah.
like that Tukysa and Zolota in combination with them. But I'm just wondering if there are any, what
Well,
you've seen either
Yeah.
natural or, otherwise, since you've done so much.
So back to water solubility.
Mhm.
There's a form of selenium called sodium selenite. You can go to my website, you can read all about it. Very easily crosses the blood-brain barrier and is very effective in treating all kinds of different brain tumors, whether it's glioblastoma or metastatic tumor from some other cancer. I have a patient I'm working with who's doing extremely well, lung cancer, metastatic to the brain, and everything is shrinking very, very well. Using high dose sodium selenite, along with a couple other things. If you contact me, I can give you some more information on that.
Okay, that'd be great. I don't know how to contact you.
The trick is small molecules and water soluble, so they can cross the blood-brain barrier.
And they can find you at Nutritional Oncology Research Institute. Is that correct? Is that your website?
Yeah, the website is nutritionaloncology.net.
Okay. I can set that in I'll put it in the chat too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have Jane with hand up for a while. Go, Jane.
It's okay. One thing I wanted to add, we talked about mind, body, spirit, but the impact of spirituality is huge and is basic. I'm also an ordained minister, so that's kind of my shtick. But in whatever way that we connect to the divine, it doesn't matter how we do it. We're all talking about, well, what we know and what we don't know. And I look at the divine as like this intravenous of when sometimes we might get an idea to research something or to talk to somebody or anything like that, or to have hope because the divine will show us the way. It's a huge part in being healthy, preventing diseases, and going through the process, because it gives help and it gives us this ability for infinite knowledge. And I always wondered, you know, why do we have to ask? Because the divine's supposed to know everything. So I remember when my husband had a heart attack and he was in ICU, and we didn't know whether he was going to make it. And I went to the chapel and I heard God say, "What do you want?" And I said to God, "Wait a minute, you're so smart, you can't figure this out. You know, it's not that complicated." But I think, and this is just my personal, sometimes I think God thinks I'm cute by psychoanalyzing God, but I think the act of faith is in the asking. You know, show me the way here, show me the way there. Give me hope in whichever direction. Sometimes, like my husband did die, but yet people were sent to him to guide him in his spiritual journey when I was too close to him. He couldn't take it from me. So spirituality is really big in whatever way we do it. Doesn't matter.
Jane, may I ask a question of you?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what your thoughts, experience are surrounding mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms for cancer patients to help support an expansion of consciousness and spirituality.
I actually don't think I have enough knowledge to adequately answer that question.
Okay.
You know, I know that sometimes they are used. I'm not against it.
Mhm.
I think there's a very big difference in spirituality and religion.
Sure.
Religion is about
Yes.
rules and regulations.
Right.
Spirituality is just a connection to the divine. So I'm not about anything that's a rule, regulation, something we should or should not do. I think you have to be careful
Mhm.
of the person using them. I think it should be under the administration of somebody who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, I don't feel that I know enough about it to answer your question.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of research surrounding psilocybin, giving it to terminal cancer patients,
Yes.
and it appears to be extremely helpful.
I
And
actually,
I'm also interested in how helpful.
My son is on a program of micronutrients, I think, and it's a lot of different mushrooms. And again, it's not having a psychedelic journey, but it's using the benefits a lot of the mushrooms. But I do think it should be under the guidance of someone and not just, I'm going to pick and choose.
And I can actually add on to that too. And Mark, you probably have, you know, some knowledge on this as well already. But there's been new, you know, recent studies that have been coming out over the last few years. They're starting to use psychedelics and hallucinogens for PTSD, major depressive disorder that's not treated well. I can actually attest to how effective they are. I've struggled through a lifetime of trauma, which I do talk openly about and share my experience. So, and that was probably one of the biggest things that changed for me. And it's because if you do the research, there's the you know, like the rerouting of your brain that ends up happening with it. And so what ends up happening is like some of those emotions that might have been tied to something physically start to be pruned. And there's rerouting that's going on in your brain. And so it's like you're creating these new circuits in your brain, which is exciting because you have created a lifetime of habits that have been creating certain circuits. And so then what it does is it helps reroute those. And so that's neuroplasticity. And from you know, just a personal experience, I can tell you, you do start to relieve a lot of those things, but it does really need to be in combination with certain therapies, with a guided licensed practitioner that is guiding you on that. There's also certain things that you need to incorporate into your life while you're using them to be able to help see the benefits from that as well. But just like Jane said, you do have to be careful. Again, that's why it's really important to work with somebody who's knowledgeable and skilled on it, because you could have adverse effects and
Sure.
events happen. There are certain situations where people might not be in the right mindset, have that experience, and then it can cause worsening symptoms like psychosis and whatnot. So you
Right.
do have to be careful with that.
Exactly.
But it can be a very effective method for healing, and they've actually been using it. The VA did a lot of research on it for vets within
Mhm.
Viet, yep, vets, especially the
Successfully,
Vietnam
very
vets,
Yeah.
successfully. Yes,
Right. And addiction, alcoholism. You can
yes.
reverse alcoholism in just one session.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is.
Just once
It
it can
is.
reverse things for people. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
it's
It
got to,
really
it's got to
is.
come off of Schedule 1. You know, DEA, it's a Schedule 1 drug, which is insane because it has medicinal value. It's non-addictive. It's perfectly safe. You
Yeah,
know,
and there's
one of
so
these
much
days.
value that's added to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all need to pull together enough. I think, as a people, we can combine together, sign petitions, go see your, local, I'm not going to get into the
Right.
politics of things, but, go see your local people and
Shaman.
statewide people. Yes.
Or you take a trip down to Peru or Costa Rica and you do the ayahuasca thing. I know a lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
Found a lot of benefit.
Yes.
It's sort of
Yes.
it's like a bullet train kind of thing. It gets you there really fast. But
Hmm.
these are emergency situations,
right.
and building spirituality takes a lot of time. It can take a
Yes.
lifetime, but
That's right.
one session with psychedelics, you can get pretty far very,
So
very
true.
quickly.
I think you have to be very careful
Yeah,
in religions who say right, wrong.
right.
That's not spirituality.
No,
Spirituality is the personal connection with the divine, because then you get caught up and this is wrong and this is right, and that has nothing to do with the price of fish. The only purpose of religion should be to help people learn their spirituality or get to their spiritual path,
sure.
not to make them
Sounds
feel
like I
guilty.
have a field trip to make.
Or it's a moral compass of some kind.
Yes, that's true. Well,
Yes.
they can, I will add to that too, Deborah. There are clinics nationwide that have now opened services for psychedelic therapy. And so you can actually go and search online if there are local clinics, and you have to check your laws and whatnot too in your state. But you can actually go and there's even certain universities that are doing quite a few studies. So you can even join to be part of those. I know locally here, where I'm at, there's actually a huge cohort going on right now and they're asking for participation, from people around the state to be able to join the study to see, just to advance science, which is pretty cool.
So hopefully there is more going on with it, that it will actually become more in the forefront,
Yes.
more of an option.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really is. We're at the top of the hour, but we will get to firefighter. If you want to unmute yourself.
I've been with you guys for about a year now, and this is the first time I'm actually using my computer. I'm using my cell phone. So this is all very interesting. I learn something new every day. But I just wanted to mention something real quick. Just bad timing. I know we're on the top of the hour. I'll keep it short. You guys are, I'm sure, all familiar with Dr. Michael Greger. Not McGregor, Dr. Michael Greger.
Yep.
And, he sends, if you sign up with him, he sends you an email once a week, usually on Fridays. And I just read one today. It was talking about, what's the title? The title of this thing was Eating to Help Control Cancer Metastasis.
Right. High fat diet.
Yeah.
Saturated fats.
Yeah. Saturated animal fats. He says the plants fats, not a problem, but it's just another study, very recent one apparently, that just shows once again, as probably hundreds of times, that eating dairy and animal products, especially meat and dairy, do have an effect on, apparently cause cancer and
metastasis.
I strongly urge people to look up Dr. Michael Greger if they don't know anything about him. Just Google him, and it's a very interesting article. I highly recommend that everybody read it. It's Eating to Help Control Cancer Metastasis, and that's pretty much what they're saying once again. I know a lot of people don't believe, they drink their milk every day and they eat their butter and, grass-fed cows, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But apparently anyone who's been doing their homework pretty much knows that we really should not be eating dairy.
Oh.
Like that chocolate ice cream.
Yeah. Dairy can be quite inflammatory, but I am going to answer from my own personal perspective because I've been cancer-free for 10 years. I've been cancer-free since 2015, and I was diagnosed with colon cancer in a very aggressive form of it. It had spread, just not into any lymph nodes. But like we were talking earlier in the call, not pinpointing that on one certain thing, but there's only a short period, and that was like last year where I didn't really eat any meat, but I've eaten pretty much, and this is just my personal experience. And so I've eaten animal products, cut out dairy, cut out gluten, cut out sugars, those really inflammatory foods, but I've continued to eat red meats, wild game, fish, chicken, mostly eggs almost every day. And for a very short time after even chemo, I did keto to be able to help, detox a lot of the chemicals that were in my body, just trying to get rid of the fat that was, I had put on from all the steroids. And so again, I think, there's two we've talked about before in the past about preparation, making sure that you're preparing your food adequately. And so making sure that even if you're making it vegetables, that they're not charbroiled, that there's no, the burning and that kind of thing going on. But one thing to take into consideration, and Mark probably has a little bit more experience than Maya, Deb, I mean, you guys are more in the nutrition world than I am, but the studies that I have read, and I even pulled one up, I think it was a week or two ago, and it was talking about red meat not being, good for cancer patients and whatnot. I noticed that in the study, it had pulled red meat, processed meats, and like smoked meats all together. So where there wasn't a separation between the type of meat it was, and then it just had combined it all together in one study. But I think, going 10 years, where I've have kept that in my diet. Yeah, it's not a scientifically proven thing, it's anecdotal, but I also had a very aggressive form of colon cancer, which they say colon cancer is the one thing you need to avoid is red meat. So, and I do also have a syndrome. I have a genetic condition and then also have a syndrome that can also create more polyps if that were the case. So I do like to just shed some light on that as a personal perspective from somebody who has had colon cancer. So anybody else want to add to that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say that we do get science, but our science should be basically human existence on the planet. I would say, what are we coming from? Who were our ancestors? What did they do? This is what, for me personally, it's 9.5 years now. I'm cancer-free, and I did it holistically, all natural, without any chemicals. No ivermectin or fenbendazole. Just want to say it. Okay, so from the biggest lesson I have learned is the more simplified I went backward in terms of like implementing more of an ancestral way, the way they made the food, the way they prepared it, the better I got and better outcome I had. And I'm still on that path. I do not also avoid red meat or eggs. Actually gives me more strength, and I do feel based on my body the way it feels. So we have to always look where the research is coming from, how long the research was done. And I just broke it down. There's studies that came out. I think Dr. Joel Fuhrman spoke about it, stating that it's been proven by science the ketogenic diet causes cancer, bounces back and causes cancer. So I took a time and I broke it into pieces. And what I learned is the way they were feeding the mice was nothing close to the ketogenic diet. It was more of a soy product that was mimicking ketogenic diet, and without addressing any other factors, whether it's like an environmental and other factors, and bringing that into the statement and saying that it causes cancer. It's been scientifically proven. Like for me, I go into the deeper research. I want to know where is it coming from, because the lies around us is so much. It's huge. Everyone is telling you what to do, what to eat, how to sleep, how to wake up, how to walk, what to put in your body. But where is that information is coming from? That's for me is the most important part. Until I won't break it down myself and I'm not going to be confident in what I'm doing, I'm not going to put it in my body. So I personally, I literally, like that Michael Greger put I know I've been following him for a long time too, probably 10 years. I have not seen the study, but I'm gonna break it down too. I'm gonna break it down and see where it's coming from. I mean, is it like the size? Who funded? By the way, ketogenic diet was funded by NIH, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations. So we always have to know where the studies are coming from and how legit they are. If our ancestors had used fat and meat for millions of years, why are we thinking that's going to harm us if humanity made it to today's date without using, without using pharmaceuticals? Pharmaceuticals have been somehow, we're the human species in this world who's confused what to eat and what to put in our body. We're the only species in this world we're confused because we are been told what to do and how to, without listening to our own body and being afraid to use something that has been there always in our lives. So that's my biggest thinking about it. And yes, I did go from raw vegan to vegetarian from that, and I did go to the ketogenic diet, and I felt best being on ketogenic diet. So this is my experience. I'm talking from my personal experience. I've tried many things. I've been my own guinea pig and my own experiment. So, and I never ever would speak out loud if I'm not confident in it. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thanks. Jane, you had your hand. Oh,
Okay.
did you want to?
Colorectal cancer,
Uh-huh.
which is a big topic today because we're seeing it in 30-year-old and 40-year-old people, young people.
Right.
So, it's fast food, and it's basically an unhealthy gut microbiome, lack of fiber, low intake of fruits and vegetables.
So actually
Mark, actually, I have a question. Is there science that proves that our microbiome needs fiber?
Yes.
I would like to read that. I personally could not find anywhere.
So there's all kinds of different bacteria that can live in the gut.
Okay.
There's the kinds of bacteria that thrive on undigested animal protein.
Okay, I can argue on that part, actually. I can argue on that part. I'm sorry. Because undigested animal protein, if we know the protein breaks down in the stomach, isolate from everything.
And
then breaks down in the lower.
I was just going to say, I think we probably should just kind of move.
Table that one.
Continue.
We'll take it
talk
offline.
about it later.
Yeah,
but
that's a really great topic. That's a great discussion.
It's a great discussion, and I would like to follow. I would like to follow up on this one. I really, truly would like to follow up on this one.
Right. I've studied this very deeply.
Yeah, I did the same thing. That's why I was like, I did the same thing. So I really would like to.
I think it'd be a great conversation if you guys can team together and see, figure that out.
We can, we can totally.
Maya says I'm a great case study if you ever want to use me, because some of the stuff I've done, I'm just like, how, I was given a 20% chance of survival after 5 years. And when I walked into my doctor's office, he's like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I was like, okay.
I had 15, I had 15% survival chance. So I'm still here. Okay. So that's why we might listen to the study. We have to read the studies. I'm not saying we don't. But then at the same time, we should not forget about people's.
Honestly, if the two of you could get together and talk about this and bring it to a discussion or something that all of us could listen to, because obviously it's extremely important.
Yes.
I
It
mean,
is.
and we don't know. There's conflicting information and stuff, and the more accurate information and case studies and things that we can actually grab and wrap our heads around, I think would be priceless, truly
Right.
priceless.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to add to what Mark was going to say though too. Is like it's a processed food. You know what I ate before? Hamburger helper. I ate
Yeah.
vegetables out of a can.
Yeah.
I would
Exactly.
drink or I would eat Velveeta cheese, like it's just all these convenient foods that you think are like, oh, okay, because you grow up, kind of eating them. And you don't realize how detrimental they really are to your health and your body. So you're right, like my gut microbiome was probably a hot mess.
Yeah.
I was first, like when I first like started noticing it, I had a pulp that almost turned to cancer or to a tumor, cancerous, when I was 28. And I was diagnosed when I was 32 with cancer. So
Wow.
Wow.
I was very
Yeah.
young, but there's also background stuff behind that too. But
Mhm.
you're right. I was eating hamburger helper, fast food, McDonald's,
Yeah.
Wendy's,
No
just
fruits and vegetables, right?
well, I was eating some, but not nearly
Not
as
enough.
much as
Those
I
Not
those
enough.
are
should.
no fun.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I would
Yeah.
like to
I
run.
know.
I like to run down the street to
Right?
Dairy Queen every
That's
now
like,
and again. But
Let's eat the apples.
yeah.
yeah.
But
Get the
yeah,
That's
fruits.
why,
Let's eat the apples.
yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
like, it's just really a good point of just like those are food items. They're not really even food. So just making sure that
We,
you're even making
yeah.
those switches is a huge difference. It makes a huge difference in your health,
Yeah.
and being able to support
Okay.
your body. Are you guys okay still
Great
continuing to go
discussion.
on? Are you okay
Yeah.
still moving on? 'Cause we have,
Maybe for another 5-10 minutes, but
okay.
we have to go, gotta get some
Stuff
work
done.
done.
Yes. All
Jackie
right.
probably looking at us like, guys,
It's
you gotta
almost
go
20
work
after.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get to you, Amy, and then Jane, and then we'll be done. All right, Amy.
Okay, yeah, I could talk to you guys forever. This is a great conversation. Dr. William Davis, I have his book on the gut, his latest book on the gut book. And it really,
Microbiome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that really gives you good information about why fiber is important in his studies. And he's done a lot of work in this field, that you have to add the fiber to the yogurts that he makes, or the fermentations with the probiotics, to make it happen. So,
Yeah.
he has a lot of evidence in there, and it seems true when people try making his yogurt, they don't make it with the fiber or without. It seems to make a world of difference with their results. And he explains it.
Yeah, we actually, beside this group, we have another group. It's a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioners. It's a pretty big group. Deb is part of that group. It's, we're certified in functional nutrition also. That's where our group is, like, we test everything. I mean, not test, when we talk about something, and Dr. Davis' book was another book that we were breaking down and discussing. Believe it or not, many people in the group, we tried. I have inulin in my house and yogurt maker the same way. And people started it well, but after a couple of weeks, it bounced it back on them. So again, is it for everyone? That's what the question I always like ask, is it for everyone or not? It all depends on by individuality. Because I see a very good result, and I see not good result at all from people. Like, my kids did not do well at all, not even close.
He mentioned,
Yes, so it's everyone is like based on by individuality. Great book, great information.
but he mentioned the SIBO and CFO come into play with whether or not something is useful or not. You have to get rid of the first problem. If you're really, he gives you reasons why you might be having it, but it's all individual. But
it's all by individuality, yeah.
Another interesting thing is I get into the blood type diet, and I kind of play with it. But I heard two people speak on this recently, and I wish I could give you guys the actual research, and if I could find it, I will. But one lady, she's like in her 80s. She doesn't have any health problems, but she had numerous health problems all her life. And the last decade or two, she went on her blood type diet, and just everything magically disappeared. She's in excellent health. She's on no medications. And she said, if I go off that blood type diet, I could feel a change in my energy already. And I just know not to do that. And the other lady could not lose weight for her life, but she she made a dedication to try the blood type diet. And she's like a size 3-4, and she can eat anything she wants on her blood type diet. On the weekend, as she plays and goes and eats whatever she wants, she'll gain weight. As soon as she goes right back to her blood type diet, she goes right back to normal. I find that fascinating. There's several stories I heard on that blood type diet, but you know, it's wonderful that we have opportunities to experiment with and see, is this working for me? Is it benefiting me where I'm at in life right now? And I don't know, I get juiced on stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm just sharing that. And then one last comment on the power of intention. A lady and her family were in a swampland in a third world country, and they had no water, and they were going to die. They were dehydrated. It had been going on for several days or a day or whatever. And they just took the water and they prayed and said, our intention is that we are going to have water. They drank that water and nothing happened to them. Anybody else would have drank that water. It was really bad water. It wouldn't be edible for any human being. But that's the power of their intention was, well, we need water. God bless it. And they drank it for survival. They're absolutely fine. I think that the intention, where you're at in life, your purity in heart is really so key to anything you're doing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you
Amy.
for adding that. That was awesome, Amy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Jane.
Okay. Let's take Jane, and then I think we should be
Yep.
wrapping up, right?
Yeah.
She's
I'll be
closing
done.
us out.
Yes. Bring her home, Jane.
Okay. All right. This has been wonderful. And I'm so proud of you guys. I think you're awesome.
Thanks.
But
Okay.
I wanted to say I am dairy free and plant-based, but I'm sorry about the dog, but I think two things are important. And one of them is to recognize that whether it's keto or plant-based or any of this, there's a lot of processed stuff out there. And no matter how you cut it, it's processed. So we still have to use organic and make it from scratch and put all the trouble into it. And I did put in, but every once in a while, and this is where I think sometimes you have to listen to your body. I feel like a good piece of steak. And then I go and I get organic steak, and that's it. Sometimes you have to listen to your body. But I put in the chat some great YouTube, and one is Microbiomes by Sonia Sonnenberg. And there's a lot of detailed research on microbiomes. And the other one is What the Health, on research on the dairy and meat industry. But the documentary, sometimes there's a short one, and that doesn't give all the information. I put that in the church, and no, I didn't put it in church. I put it in the chat. Yeah, it's time to end. My brain's fried.
Oh, you're good. Thank you.
That's a very good point. When people think of keto diet, they think of this keto cookies, keto that, keto this. No, we're not talking about that type of keto. Keto has its own place for me, for example, where I had to learn. It took me about 5 months, for example, to learn the amount of fat I have to consume with that fits my body, right? The type of the meat, how much meat I eat and everything. So my meat comes only from local farmers, from grass-fed, grass-finished, only from local farmers. I don't use dairy. I'm still dairy free, for example. Everything makes, like, you have to, I don't know, there's so many things. When people think keto, they think, oh, keto bread, keto cookies, keto that. No, that's not ketogenic diet. That's not even close to ketogenic diet. Have to understand what keto is. And then just, if you want to implement that in your life. So that's a very good point. Where you're getting your produce is very important, Jane, and what you're putting in your body is very important.
I like how she added, like, make it complicated. It is. My husband will be like, how did we ever have this much dishes? There's only 2 of us.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
be prepared
So-
to do a lot of dishes and, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
but
Okay, it's
what's
worth your health.
important.
Plus, you're getting
Okay.
activity while you're doing dishes. So, but thank you everybody for joining us.
Outstanding.
Thank you, everybody.
This is a wonderful call. We are so appreciative of
you.
you being on the call with us.
Great hosting job. Great hosting
Great.
job.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
You guys
Thank you,
are
thank you.
phenomenal. I'm so proud of you.
Great
Thanks.
information.
And
I
I can't
learned a
wait
lot.
for the two of you to get together. That'll be awesome. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
we will do that at some point. I'll be happy to go
I hope
and play
so.
too. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right, we'll see
Bye,
you all
everyone.
next week, next
Okay.
Thursday at
everybody.
7
Bye,
p.m.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Eastern.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.